What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Prejudice in the criminal justice system. Let's talk about it. So, as it stands right now, we are many weeks into the mysterious death of Nolan Wells. And as it stands right now, to my understanding, no arrests have been made. Now, the biggest controversial topic when it comes to Nolan Wells is how did he die and who was responsible, if anyone is actually responsible. Now, that's still being investigated. But what we know for a fact, definitively, that crimes actually were committed and occurred out there on Horn Island. The reality of the situation is the friends have already given statements saying that they were drinking alcohol, which is against the law, which means that an adult was out there or someone 21 years of age contributed to alcohol to a minor, which is a crime. Now, the secondary part is a majority of individuals whom were out there, to include these children, went out there with alcohol, which is also a crime because drinking and boating is also illegal. So we know for a fact that 2 crimes have already been committed, and we've already had multiple public statements from these children, from these kids, from these 18-year-olds, that they were giving as well as consuming alcohol underage. Yet, we have seen no arrests based off of these 2 laws that were broken. Now, when you factor in consideration that his friends also said that Nolan Wells allegedly was drinking and he was heavily intoxicated and inebriated to the point of slurring his words, and it was initially ruled that he was a victim of drowning, then the reality of the situation is that's a murder charge. That's manslaughter. Because contributing alcohol to the delinquency of a minor to where the minor was so intoxicated that they accidentally drowned is still man 3. So that doesn't need to go in front of a grand jury because you already have public statements saying that the kids were drinking alcohol. The kids can attest to who gave them alcohol, which means that you can directly point the finger at someone who contributed to the death of a minor due to contributing alcohol to a minor, while operating a boat with alcohol, which is also illegal. So we have multiple felonies, multiple misdemeanors. This doesn't need to go in front of a grand jury. This whole spectacle and dog and pony show about what happened to Nolan Wells, and we don't know, and we trying to figure it out, etc., 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 that's all well and good for a civil suit. But we know definitively for a fact that crimes happened, people broke the law, and we already have all the information publicly for an arrest for what I just mentioned. Now, because we are multiple weeks into this matter and nobody has been arrested, nobody's posted bail based off of these notions, and to include the children who also said that they were given alcohol and they have not made mention of the individuals who gave them alcohol, well, that's obstruction of justice, which is also a crime. Again, the fact that we are multiple weeks into the mysterious death of Nolan Wells and no one in correlation to Nolan Wells' mysterious death has been arrested for any of the crimes in which I just mentioned is a direct representation of prejudice, bias, and white privilege in America. So, as it stands, when we look at situations like this, you can understand why individuals like Luigi Mangione decided to take matters into his own hands, because American citizens are not getting the representation that they're supposed to have. Horn Island historically was a escape route for the Underground Railroad. It is supposedly also federal land, which means that people were committing crimes on federal land and a kid died based off of people committing crimes on federal land. So as it stands, there's been no prosecutions, there's been no arrests for any factor or any crime in which I have already clearly elaborated on, which means that the local, state, and federal government are not interested in facilitating a criminal pursuit or prosecution against American citizens, primarily who happen to also be white. So, with that being said, If this is commonplace to where, because multiple people were committing crimes and it was a part of the norm, it was a social or communicable practice to where everybody was doing it, therefore it is above board, then the next time that you find yourself in a situation to where you and a group or a gathering of individuals have broken the law and you are being arrested and prosecuted for, then your 14th Amendment is being violated, which is the Privileges and Immunities Clause. Because if Mississippi is doing it, every other state should have the access and application to do it, because we are not divided. We are 50 connected states. This is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, while your 14th Amendment is being violated because the people in Mississippi, to include the federal government, are not investigating or prosecuting or arresting individuals whom have already publicly stated that crimes were broken on federal land. And the reality of the situation is, if you are an American citizen and you find yourself in a situation to where your actions, in correlation to a majority of other people's actions, have found themselves breaking the law and you are being arrested and prosecuted for that matter, then you are being violated for your 14th Amendment. You are being violated for your civil rights, to include color of law, especially if you're a person of color. And that's also to include the violation of the 8th Amendment for cruel and unusual punishment, because there were no punitive measures that were handed out to the people whom have already stated specifically that they were breaking the law. So as we move forward collectively as a nation, either we are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, or this is just white America.